All right, y'all. Can we start? Let's get started. Well, I don't think it'll take long. It won't be long. So, if you don't know me, I'm Lisa Broussard. I'm the marketing director at Innovate Real Estate. I always am surprised when they get me to do a class because just you don't know. Largely unfiltered sometimes. Anyway, I was this one is about posting our settlement and your brand online and some of the things that maybe we should think about switching up a little bit. If you're really big on social media, that's kind of what this one is about. Some of the things that you do on social media or some of the messaging out there, and if that can look a little bit different with what's going on especially in regards to buyers. That's my main focus today. So that's what this one is about. And the first thing I'm just going to say is that I don't have all the answers. You know, you can ask me and I'll give you an opinion and kind of my thoughts, but I don't think anybody has all the answers. And so I'm be the first to tell you it's complicated. And right now, the reality of the settlement seems really fluid to me because it hasn't even been approved. So we don't know what the final outcome is going to be, but we do know that there's a big push out there to kind of make sure that buyers are not tied into the same kind of compensation situation that they were before, that it's a very separate part of the transaction, and how you communicate that it seems to be a little bit different. So I'm not the broker. I don't have all the information about that kind of stuff, but I am the marketing person. And so what we're going to talk about today is kind of consumer perception and how that plays into marketing. You know, it's the information might change, things are different, but how consumers feeling at this point and what the differences might mean to them. So that's where we're going to start. So I was scrolling through social media and I was just seeing some things and I was like, why would you post that? Why would that be a good thing to post right now? You know, so just made me think, when you're on a trip and you go to a hotel and they've got the free breakfast, you know, it wasn't free. Like it was already in the price of your hotel room, but you think it's free. And in your mind, you're like, that's awesome. You know, and you're like, it's a mediocre breakfast. Hopefully they have the waffles. Sometimes they don't, you know. But either way, you're like, that's nice. That's a good deal. I don't have anything bad to say about it, you know. But in your mind, you have to realize, and I think that's where we are now. You would think that buyers already realized the commission was built into the price of the house. You know, it's not really any different than what's going on. But you were at that same hotel and you had to pay for that breakfast. You know, even just the mind shift difference between whether it was put into the price in the beginning or now I've got to actually pay it separately. So that's kind of where my mind went. That's why we started talking about this class. I think that if you really think about consumers in general, for me, if I have to pay for that breakfast now, I'm thinking I could just bring a banana and a protein bar and not pay for breakfast. You know, so when you get on the other side of any transaction as a consumer, your brain starts to do all these other. I mean, that's why FSBOs are still a thing. Your brain just starts to go in another place. So I think that that's kind of where we start with this change, how we look at what the consumers are feeling, because consumers just don't understand. You know, I mean, they don't, we can explain all this. We can explain the fine print and what it was like and the very minor changes that are going on right now, but they really don't understand. So I think the biggest point is that as realtors right now, you've just got to get really, really good at showing them and explaining it to them. And so I think that's where your branding comes in, is being able to take a step back and look at your profession a little bit differently. I know there was a thing that came out that was 378 tasks you do as a realtor. And I looked at it and I thought, that's silly. That doesn't seem like a good place to start with me. you're not you're not administrative people. Have you ever had to hire an attorney? Have you ever had the pleasure of having to hire an attorney? They're not going to provide you. They're a very professional organization. You're going to pay them a lot of money. They're not giving you a list of 300 tasks that they're going to do for you because you don't hire them for their administrative skills, right? You hire them because you need help getting through a complex situation. That's the same with realtors. It's not an easy thing. I to buy a house, and now you're a highly paid professional, so you need to make sure that you're showcasing the skills to get them through the complex situation. I was in a marketing class the other day, and this is with the top real estate marketing firm and branding firm in the country. And they brand big companies, they work, and this is what they told us. This is what they gave us in their campaign that we're working on right now for a big company. And the idea is that finding a home you'd like to own is pretty easy, but actually buying that home can be difficult. And if you look online, the Zillows and all the things, that finding a home that you want to buy is pretty easy. You can look at 1,000 pictures online and you're like, I want to buy that one. It's the actual buying of the home that's difficult. And that's what we're here for. We're here for those difficult things. That's how we make their life better. That's what we get paid to do, is to handle the hard stuff for them, help them get through it. So the idea for me is that I know forever on social media and on your advertising, people have said they just need to know, like, and trust you. You need the clients to know, like, and trust you. And I think my mindset now is that they don't just need to know, like, and trust you. They need to know, like, trust, and value you as a well-paid professional. That's different than just knowing, liking, and trusting. They've got to see the value in it. And the problem is that value is what a consumer perceives to be value. So there's a lot of these keywords, like you need to add value. You need to add value to your marketing. But value is what's perceived. We don't have any real control over what people are going to see as value. That's like, you've got to really work at that to try to figure it out. So I thought I'd give you a few of my thoughts anyway, and kind of run you through some examples that I've seen, and maybe that'll help your mind get somewhere when you're trying to work on a marketing strategy and you're working on your social media strategy, just to get you in a different, maybe a little different spot than where we've been to start with. So the first thing I think we need to figure out is who your audience is. That's what you need to ask yourself. Who is your audience? And on social media right now, that's who is already in your feed. Who's your sphere? I know that the brokers and your teachers have talked to you about your sphere of influence. I mean, it is the most important thing. And so you need to look at who your audience is right now. Who am I talking to right now on social media? Who am I talking to right now in the marketing I'm doing? And the second question is, who do you want your audience to be? That's where you start your building process. Who do I want that? But the one thing I want to say is that if the answer to number 2 is just basically people who might want to buy a home now or in the future, or will refer me to someone who wants to buy a home now or in the future, then I think the one thing that and I'm looking around, none of you are guilty of this, but there are some that are. So stop making the buyers the butt of your funny videos. If you've seen them, if you've been on the TikToks and the Reels, they're funny. Other realtors laugh at them because buyers do give you lots of funny ammunition, to throw there. But I would suggest, number 1, if that's part of your plan, is making the funny videos and that kind of stuff, and you've got a thing about buyers, I would just tone that down a lot. Buying, I love this quote: buying is aspirational, selling is operational. If I'm aspiring to buy a home and I see your video that talks about buyers doing silly things, or, talking to other realtors, or making me show them 65 houses, then I don't aspire you to be my realtor at that point. I would just be careful with some of that humor stuff at this point right now in the game. Snarky videos, I just think about buyers, that might be something you want to reconsider if that's in your realm right now. They are funny. We all laugh at them, but I don't think I'd do that right now. Um, Number two, don't set a goal for yourself or followers. I know a lot of people just think they want to be Instagram stars or something like that. And there are some, they do sell a lot of real estate doing that, I imagine, or they have a nice referral, but you need to set, I think your goal should be a number of true fans, because if you have set it for 25, set it for 100, 500, you know, um, people who will engage with you and who you are engaging with are going to be so much more profitable in the long run than 5,000 random social media followers. Even though that makes you feel good, trust me, we check our stats all the time on the company pages. We're always looking, making sure that we're showing some kind of growth. It is it is not the fuel that's going to feed your business. You need to be connecting on social media with people who interact with you, who you interact with. It's not just trying to get people to follow you, but you've got to get in there and follow other people. You've got to comment if you want those people to see your posts. And so I promise you, build your focus on your sphere, focus on your people, and that will play out so much more profitable for you. I don't know if you know this, but your followers on social media, you don't own them. And those apps can take your account down in a minute, and you will never have there's nothing you can do. We have agents it has happened to. We have big teams it's happened to here. Those accounts on social media can just be snapped away from you with no reason at all. And it's impossible. If you've ever had a problem on Facebook and you tried to talk to somebody at Facebook, you know exactly what I'm saying. There is no recourse. You may not never ever see that again. Your database, you know, your sphere, your database, that's what you own. That's what, and those are the things that are going to pay off for years and years and years. You can just trust me on that one. If you don't trust me, just go ask any top producer. They'll tell you that that's where the money is. Now into some examples that I think are really good and a good idea for right now. Start telling your clients stories, not just posting your wins. I know it's so easy to go in and put the just sold template up there, and did it. I just sold that one. I just sold that one. I think it's so much more engaging and endearing, really, if you are telling your clients stories. I have this theory, and it probably is not true, but if your feed on your social media is all about you, and there's no pictures of your clients and stories of your clients, I really think you're getting it wrong at that point. Like, these are the people that you're serving. That's really how I feel you should be able to do it. And so I've got like this guy. And you can see he did it with photos. He's got videos, and he goes in and he tells the whole story of these clients, that just they bought the first house. They were in the Navy together. They just sold that. And he's got the pictures of them popping champagne at their first house, popping champagne at the second house, 10 years later or whatever. And he goes through the whole thing, and it's just really, it's a nice way. You can still use the sold graphic. You can get 2 posts out of one sold, but I would definitely start to try focusing on your clients, getting their story, sharing some of that. It puts what you do into a much different light when you're able to actually share personal stories about them. This one I thought was interesting. It's the same guy, clients, but I mean, this was a tough deal. So I've seen some people say this was a hard one, but we got it done. He starts talking about how hard it was, and the feelings, and the clients didn't like him in the beginning. And I was, and we just kept going. And I think that probably can go a long way, especially when you're looking at the new reality that we're living in. And then I thought this was a really good idea too for open houses. I see some of you showing your videos when you're getting ready for open houses, but the way that she did this and how she closed it, I thought was a good idea. Can you hear it? Nobody? I can't either. Anyway, sorry. I don't know where my volume is. Let's see. Oh, let's try again.
House in Clayton. I put together a box of all of the necessities I'll need for the open house: water bottles, shoe covers, and any signs. Grabbed some balloons, chugged a protein shake, and drove an hour down south to my listing. We first cut the outside to draw attention to the open house and then worked on the inside. I had two newer agents from our company shadowing me, so I gave them an entire tour of the property and went over all the specs so they could answer questions. And after 30 minutes of prep, we were ready to go for the 2 hours of the open house. Compared to earlier in the week, today was gorgeous. We had three couples and one agent show up and some great feedback to share with the sellers. Yikes, Sunday scaries are truly real, but
So I thought that was really interesting the way that she did that. Oops, let's get back here because number one, she they had three couples in a bike. Like there's that's what you get. You know, I mean, you might feel like there's nothing to talk about. I only got three people showed up to them, but that's good. And she said, and it gives me stuff to give feedback for my sellers. You know, I mean, that's something you put out there. That's value to people. This is what realtors do. This is why we have open houses. Yeah, you might not get 70 people come through the door, but this is why we do them. And now I'm going to have some feedback for you. And three couples. So I thought it's a good idea. Don't be afraid to share stuff that doesn't look like a big deal because to potential clients, it is a big deal. Um, this one I think is was really good, and it is don't just give me the price of a house. Like we all post the just listed, you know, just listed this house 324.5. This guy just went such a step deeper than that, and I thought this was brilliant.
Curious to see how much you need to make a year to afford this $720,000 Wildemar home? Let's look at the numbers. While we tour this 5 bedroom, 3 bath house, our hypothetical has us putting down $53,985 or 5%. And with the interest rate of approximately 5.99, we are looking at about 4,149 cents for the principal and interest rate. Because we can't get away from Uncle Sam, the property tax is about $750 a month, and insurance is approximately $165 a month. And because we aren't putting down 20%, we do have PMI, which is approximately 108 and 30 cents a month. This gives us a grand total of $5,123.79 a month. When applying a 45% debt to income ratio, we can now see that to afford this home, we need to be making $11,400 a month, or alternatively, $136,800 a year. So after watching this video, are you ready to call this place home? Send us a DM for a private tour or comment Wingmelm for more.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, if you're a person looking or thinking you want to buy a house and you think I could never afford a $750,000 house, and then this comes on and you're like, oh, I make 136,000. I'm going to call him. I'm going to go, oh, I qualify for this. It's information. Of course, you can get it. You can go online and you can source that stuff out. And but to put it in on your listings, to put that exact kind of information out there, that's a draw. That's people call and or I call them and say, you know what? I don't make 136, but I make 120. What can I get for that? You know, and like I said, you can always source this information out yourself as a buyer. But if it pops up in my feed and I can see those exact numbers and know exactly what the situation is, he goes to his lender when he gets a listing and gets the numbers from them and puts them right into the video and make the videos. I'll tell you if you're interested in these. He doesn't film them while I mean, he's just doing B-roll from a walkthrough of the house. Comes back, sits down, does the voiceover, gets the captions on them, and lets them roll. And I just think that's a great way to add value. It's a great way to give value to people so that they know exactly what they need, what they can do, what they have to get into that house. I think it's a good deal. I'll make sure you can get these if anybody wants them. You can ask me for them. These are the tools you can do that with. You do it with Canva Pro. You can do your videos. CapCut puts the captions on there. It'll do it over automatically. Opus Clip will do the same thing. You've got your recording of your voice. You put it in there, and it's going to make those big captions for you. So there's a lot of good tools that you can, if you're ready to get into that mode, that's how you do it. And then the last thing, and this is kind of advanced. and it's about, we go back to how important your database is. So if you are someone who is doing a lot of social media work, planning to do a lot of social media, like you are spending the time and the effort and you want to do it with the intention of building your database from it. Like I said, followers are followers, and that's really good and it's fun for the ego, but you need your database to be built because that's where your money sits. And so this is a good example of what she does. She
We do
does it.
not own our Instagram following. The only thing that we own is our email list. And I have nightmares like that my Instagram account is going to be randomly deleted. So we have to do everything that we can to extract that data off of Instagram and put it into our email list. So you want to create lead magnets that have your ideal client in mind. So think like hyper local PDF guides. You only do want to have lead magnets. It's the way that you promote them on your Instagram story that is really, really important. So I like to do 2 to 3 stories promoting my lead magnets. You can go to my Instagram story right now and see that my first story, Dan, are you going to it right now? My first story is an actual like screen recording of my actual lead magnet that I'm giving away. And this is so important because people really need to see what they're getting. We have to walk them over the invisible bridge of giving us their contact information. They have to see that whatever we're going to provide them with is not just sucky fluff. It's like actually valuable information. So screen record your actual lead magnet and put it on your story and say, grab my guide to 1,000 emails in 120 days. So that's the first thing. Next, I do another story further explaining like why they need that lead magnet. My tip is to create the lead magnets, but also be smart in the way that you market them. Don't just assume that people are going to hand over their emails. We have to walk them through what they're actually getting.
That's the thing. I think it's hard to get people's emails, and so if
She had her on.
Yeah.
I thought you spelled that up.
That's what I think she's fast. Yeah, we're so don't.
That can be
Oops, sorry. Skip past it. So this is what it looks like in her story. So lead magnets, you all know what those are, right? And they're so easy to come up with. Okay, so it's something that says, if you want this, give me your email and I'll email it to you. Yeah. So and in whatever area you're working in, that's just something you can put together. I mean, you can use Yelp to get the top 5 brunch places, you put it in a graphic, your buyer guides, seller guides, neighborhood guides. I mean, there's so many things that you can ease vendor lists, best painters that I've worked with in town. I mean, there's lots of little lead magnets that you could do. And you can see, like I said, it's a little bit advanced. She has to grab it here. So when you click this link, they're going to get a message and that works. And they're going to get their guide right away sent to them. So there was a book, if you guys have ever heard of it, Kevin Kelly, I think, that wrote the book 1000 True Fans. He also wrote a book that's called 100 Things That Are Better Than Free. And the number one thing was expediency. So if you did something like this and you were working on some of those kind of lead magnets and you're trying to get emails, use an app like ManyChat, because ManyChat is automatically going to get into your account. It's going to answer every message that comes in with that code. You give them a code when you set it up. So every account that you're running your campaign has that in there, and it will automatically respond to them, go back and forth with them, and when they get the email, receive the email, it will automatically send the thing out to them. Once you set some of these things up, you don't have to touch it. Like, it's already going, and you get your list of email addresses that anybody turned in, and start building your database. Now, this is not something you just probably want to play at, but if you are some of those people, and we have a lot in our company that are just super big on social media, they're just going for it. If you are going to start doing some of that stuff, you want to make sure that you are trying to capture the database, because that's what it's all about. Putting those emails in your list. So really, that's kind of what I wanted to run through today quickly. I tried to be short, not go on and on too much, because I could do that. I have all this stuff. If you want to come talk to me about any of it, if you have questions, if you want some of these apps, Kelsey or I can help you with any of that. If you're starting to work on some things and you want a little bit of help and someone to run that by, you can always set up a time and come talk to one of us, and we'll help you get some of these things going and some other ideas. works. We got lots of ideas, that's for sure. I think the main thing is, however all this plays out, you got this, we got you, it's all gonna be fine, but just, step into the consumer's role sometimes and see what it looks like to them from the outside, because that's where, as a service provider, that's where we live all the time, in their brains and how they're thinking at the time. That's it. That's all I got for you today.